For the episode, we want to shout out some of our newest Patreon supporters. So thank you, Professor Mystery, Rebecca, Catherine, Beth Ann, Joanna, Jessica, Jen, Edna, Danielle, Mara, Susan, Sylvia, and Shannon. We really, really appreciate you and thank you for helping us be able to keep doing what we're doing. If you want to join them and check out our super cool and recently updated Patreon rewards, you can head to patreon.com/sartorialgeek. And for those of you who are going to be at San Diego Comic-Con, we won't have a booth there, but we have at least 2 panels. The convention is still finalizing times and rooms, etc. But if you want to see where our panels are and to come say hi to us, you can find all of that info at sartorialgeek.com or in our Instagram highlights at sartorialgeek. Today's episode is sponsored by Audible. Audible is a lifesaver for me because there are so many books that I really want to read, and there is also so little chance that I'm actually going to sit down and read them all. Right now I'm using Audible to catch up on books that have shows coming out that I really want to know the stories. So I'm listening to Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett, and it is wonderful. To get 30 days free on Audible, head to audibletrial.com/sartorialgeek and listen to your first book.
Hey, welcome to the Sartorial Geek podcast. I'm Jordan Ellis of Jordan Danae, and I'm so excited to be here with my friend Tara Theoharis, right?
Yeah.
Hello. And you're also the Geeky Hostess.
I am. Self-appointed Geeky Hostess.
I think the Geeky Hostess was maybe the first nerdy blog I ever found.
Oh, awesome.
I think it really was. And also I didn't understand Dungeons and Dragons yet. So all of your like D20 things, I had no idea
But
what
now you know
was.
it and you love it.
Now I know it. I wish I could go back in time and like get all of the cool accessories and stuff that you had.
I mean, that's the beauty of a blog, though. You can always go back and check out the blog posts and make all the recipes.
True. Yeah, so you have shifted what the Geeky Hostess is a lot since that was what, like 8 or 9 years ago, probably?
Yeah, I think I started the blog about 9 years ago.
That's so crazy. Yeah. So for anyone who's never heard of the Geeky Hostess, what do you do?
So the Geeky Hostess is a geeky recipe and party blog. So I take different fandoms and I create recipes that are either based off of food found in the fandom or just fun things inspired by it. And then every once in a while, haven't done one lately, but every once in a while I do some fun themed parties. So I've done some for Star Wars. I did like a cantina themed party. I did an Arrested Development party. I've done a Bob's Burgers party.
Arrested Development is my favorite.
Oh my gosh, so many frozen bananas.
Yes.
And like, what else? We had a container of jelly beans, but they call them candy beans, I think is what they call them.
Yep.
So we had those. Man. We had Buster's juice boxes. We had the Light Cloud Mirror vodka.
That's like my favorite thing. Like themed parties are my favorite thing, and then when you get so specific like that, like the juice boxes, that is like every single thing that I love.
I think we had normal juice boxes, and then we had a giant boxed wine that was like Lucille's juice box.
Perfect.
It was great. That was a good time.
I think if I had to pick like one version of fandom to live in forever, it would be themed parties. Like I think that's my number one. So it's so great that you are an expert at it.
Yeah, and it's really cool. When I first started, which was about 9 years ago, there were, I'd say, a couple kind of female-centric geek blogs, and then a lot of just like the typical geek blogs that you expect, where it's like reviewing movies, reviewing games. Stuff. Yeah. And I was really excited to create something that was a little bit more female-oriented and that celebrated that you could be feminine and geeky at the same time. And I'm not necessarily saying that recipes and parties are only a feminine thing, or that you can only do that if you are female. I was going to say oriented, female oriented. I guess that works. Yeah. It's for everyone, but I wanted to create something that was really accessible for literally anyone. And when it first started, it was a little bit more of a female lifestyle blog, and then I kind of focused in on that. And in the years, I've created some product lines, have done some other stuff, but keep going back to the recipes and the parties.
Yeah, I love the sprinkles that you did for a while. Yeah. Those were great. Do you still have the cupcake liners?
I do.
Okay, cool. Because those are really sweet too.
Yeah, I have a bunch of kind of vintage literary inspired cupcake liners. We sold out of the Alice in Wonderland ones, which were, it made sense. Yeah, they were beautiful. But we still have Cthulhu ones and Macbeth ones, which I really love. And then I have some dice cupcake liners.
That I understand now.
Yeah. Great. Well, even those are just 6-sided dice. So like you could use it for like, Monopoly, if that's your thing, or any type of game night. But the beauty of it is that the bottom, the amount of pips are different on each of them. So by picking a cupcake, it's almost like you're rolling the dice, and you can look on the bottom and see what number you have.
I should have realized that before.
Most people don't.
I have them. That's so cool.
But yeah, so I really like using it for game nights as when everyone grabs their cupcakes, you can see
that's like
to start the game, or like if you're rolling initiative for D&D, you can use that, things like that.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I'm playing I'm playing weekly now, and so I'm going to use those. That's so awesome.
What are you playing right now? What type of character?
So I am playing a human cleric because I really wanted to be able to heal people.
Nice.
So I am
a healer is very important, and most parties don't have it.
That's what I heard. So our party is actually pretty big. We started with 9, which is insane. I think we have 7 now.
Wow.
But yeah, when we started, our DM, because most of us are first time players, our DM was just pay attention to not having any important things. And I was like, who doesn't want to be the healer? Okay, I guess I'll just do that. But it's been awesome. I love it.
That's awesome.
I get it though. I get if you want to be the center of the action and fight all the time. It's not.
I mean, there needs to be something for everyone. And I think, a healer is very important as long as it's your choice. A lot of people get suckered into becoming the healer because they come in late to the party.
That's so lame.
Yeah. So I just joined a group as well about 2 months ago, and one of them, it was adorable. So the DM and I are friends, and everyone else is a first-time player.
Aww.
And one of them, they're like, "Oh my God, can you be a cleric? We need a healer." And the DM messaged me separately, and he was like, "I'm so sorry. He didn't mean to offend you. He's a first-time player." I was like, "I'm not offended. It's fine." Yeah. But it's such a stereotype that especially if it's a woman that it's. Come in, just be our healer while we do the action. But
that makes so
it is
much
a very
sense.
important role, and if you enjoy doing it, it is any player, any group will have you.
I love the inside of D&D where it's oh, I'm sorry, no offense. I was I didn't even know that was a thing to be offended by.
Yeah, and I thought it was funny. I was not offended.
Yeah, the Hufflepuff.
I'm playing a barbarian, so I'm definitely not a cleric.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I think since a lot of us are playing for the first time, we're playing pretty close to we're not playing exactly ourselves, but I was okay, the Hufflepuff in me is 100% the group.
Yep.
The group helper.
Yeah. I'm normally, when I am playing more like myself, I'm a little bit more of an elven rogue bard type person. But yeah, so this one is outside of my comfort zone, which I'm really excited about.
Because if you play a lot, you want to expand, or else you just play the same character all the time.
And I like creating characters with weaknesses and faults because it makes the story better. I don't care as much about
very smart
keeping everyone to survive. I just want to tell a good story.
We have a character, or we have a player who's doing that, and it's so fun to have that aspect because it's not something it terrifies me to do that, but the story's so much better.
Yeah.
So I appreciate when people can. And wait, do you actually have a theater background?
I do, yeah.
Okay, I was going to say you are a very theatrical person. I think I picked that up from
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, well, from your Kickstarter, because you did, the first Kickstarter, you did these amazing videos. Mm-hmm. And I think before that I had only seen photos on your blog, and you came out with these videos, and I was where did this come from?
So the video for my Kickstarter, which you could still find if you search for Geeky Sprinkles on Kickstarter,
they keep that up.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it was written and directed by my husband. It was made by a group of my friends that all had a video production company, and we had all worked together on the web series Job Hunters, and did a couple Kickstarters with that, and then from there we got their help with the video. So yeah, it is an outrageous video. It's probably has a higher production value than the entire cost of my campaign.
I mean,
so I'm very fortunate.
So legit. And even just you being in it, I've done some interviews before, and that's max me acting.
Yeah. No, I did a lot of theater in elementary school, junior high, high school, college, and then did a lot of improv in high school and college, which is how I met most of my friends, how I met my husband, and when I first played Dungeons and Dragons, which I got so spoiled. Like, if you ever have the opportunity to play D&D with just a group of improvisers, I mean, that's why I'm all about the story instead of like survival.
I mean, it's got to be such a different gameplay than like, and I think that's something that's really cool about D&D having this like resurgence now, is that I feel like I get to know about all the different kinds, because it seems like there are some that are like play by the rules, like read everything, the numbers are what matter, and then there's some that's like, we're here for the story, and like, don't worry about running out of food, really, like, we'll figure that out, but like, what's the interesting thing that we're doing?
Exactly, yeah. So you have to find the right group for you. I mean, some people play it like a war game where they want, you know, they know the exact numbers for every box, they know the steps you can take, they, you know, everything is calculated, and then, like, for me, I prefer to just kind of go into a town and cause some trouble and meet some new people.
So awesome. Yeah. And that's like, I feel like that's a fun thing too about game nights. I mean, game nights they've never gone anywhere, but I feel like I am seeing more of them now, and it's fun when you can do the level up to your game night of like bringing cool snacks and like bringing cool drinks.
I am all about themed, immersive game nights and D&D campaigns. Some of my most popular posts on the Geeky Hostess have been Dungeons and Dragons based, to the point that a few years back I had a column for Wizards of the Coast.
I think I knew that, and I was like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah, it was called D&DIY, and so it was like crafts and recipes based off Dungeons and Dragons. So I think if you search for that, or you search for my name on the Dungeons and Dragons website, you can still see some of the posts. But we did things like fireball truffles and like gift ideas for your DM. And then one of my most popular posts on the site is a Dungeons and Dragons like tavern style menu, and it's something I actually created for my husband's birthday when he was running a campaign. I was like, you know, invite people over, I will do this whole feast. So we printed out menus. I was essentially the wench for the night.
This is like making me so happy.
And yeah, and it was amazing. Like, I made stew with bread bowls. We had a few different meat dishes I can't remember off the top of my head. Probably like just like a roast chicken, and then just this huge like meat and cheese platter. So kind of like the breadboards that are really popular right now. But it's so easy. You can just go to Trader Joe's or like a grocery store and just pick up a bunch of random stuff, put it out nicely. I put it out with some grapes. I put it with just like a full hunk of French bread because I wanted it to feel more rustic. And I think that one was called the fancy man's platter or something. I don't know. It was something where it was like, you must promise the daughter of your, or the hand of your daughters to like, you know, get this feast. And then there was like the commoner's feast, which was like the remnants of that.
Perfect.
So, just like goofy things like that. We had a couple flavored, you know, fun cocktails and stuff like that. So that printout is on the blog as well as everything we did. But the best thing about that blog post, and why I love the geek and the D&D community and my community so much, is the comments for it. Like, people just went crazy on the comments, saying everything that they've done before and ways that they can add it. And then a few people started saying, you know, if you want to get really historically accurate for this type of time period, these are the things that you should include, but like things like potatoes, maybe not. And so we just had this amazing discussion. I think there's like 50 comments on this thing of everyone just giving like such insight and sending links to different historical like recipe books that you can, I don't know. It was amazing.
That's so cool.
So like, I use that blog post and all the comments as reference now when I'm trying to come up with things.
And that's the fun thing. Once you have the base, you can sort of like tweak it. Like, you know, once you have a general like D&D party platter in your head, you can like make it different for everything.
Based off the campaign you're working on.
Yeah. Do you have a cooking background too, or
I don't?
Just
I'm
like being an adult human who
cooks
things. Okay.
So I mean, my parents did a lot of cooking and baking when I grew up. While I was growing up, it was really cool. My dad actually did like all the baking and the grilling, so he makes amazing pies, and so I learned a lot from
my dad
from
does
him.
too. Like, he definitely did that. It was awesome.
Yeah, and then my mom is an amazing cook and like cooks like Italian food. That I went to Rome and I went to like the ghettos of, or what is it, like the Italian ghetto area, and I was like, this is my mom's sauce. This is it, and man, I was just, and it just made me like want her cooking more. She is amazing. So I had a lot of delicious food growing up. I started taking, you know, some of those like funsy kind of one-off cooking classes. But then really, I mean, the blog started because when I was I was right out of college, and I enjoyed throwing some really basic parties, but I wanted an excuse to get to learn more. I wanted to learn how to cook all my favorite meals. I wanted to learn how to throw kind of higher caliber dinner parties, but still do it in a fun, geeky way. So if you put something out publicly, like you hold yourself accountable because you need to be able to update. You need to do it. And so if you go back to a few of my first posts, which are still up, but I don't recommend anyone does. I mean, like the pictures of the cupcakes I made were horrendous. Like,
we didn't have good technology or we didn't have like phones that just took beautiful photos.
I mean, my photos are still not great. I prefer to hire other people to do that. For my cookbooks and stuff. I hire other people, but the cupcakes themselves just wasn't up to the caliber. But I have learned and grown so much, and now people, they come to me when they want cupcakes made for nice things, or they think I'm an expert, and I'm like, I just put in the time. Like if you want to become the best at making a specific type of recipe, just make that recipe over and over and over again, and like watch tutorials, look at other recipes people have made, and you will become an expert. I, like everyone else in the world, do not know what I'm doing. Every day that I'm coming up with a new recipe, I am doing tons of research online. I look up like 10 other recipes that are similar to what I want, and I just kind of craft and create and try it out and retry it, and it's what you do.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. Like, I don't think I've ever tried to perfect a recipe before, and that makes a ton of sense. Like, if you're making like one dish and you try it in a bunch of different ways, or like look up different versions of it, I imagine you like really get a grasp on it, and then you can get creative on your own.
Exactly.
That's such a cool way.
So if I want to make a champagne cupcake recipe, for instance, I'll look online. I'll just search for kind of champagne cupcakes, see what other people have done. I pull up. It's almost kind of like a nerdy stat kind of thing, but I'll pull up like 6 different recipes, and then I'll just analyze them all and take a look and be like, what are the common denominators? What have we found out everyone knows? Like the oven temperature is normally within like 10 to 20 degrees between all these. So I take a look at that, and I take a look at the time that they're putting it in for. I take a look at the base cupcake recipe they're using, how much champagne they're adding, if they're putting it in the frosting or the batter or both, and just see what kind of worked for that. And if I'm seeing that there's like 3 or 4 that have the same things in common, I'm like, okay, this is probably a good start. And then from there, I take a look. I, at this point, have enough knowledge to be able to look at a recipe and go, this is going to work or this isn't going to work.
Especially baking, there's like a general formula.
Yeah. And it's scary because, and like that's the thing with cooking, I can be a lot more lax and try things on my own. But with baking, you need to start from somewhere because it could go horribly wrong if you don't have like the basics.
Chemistry.
So I take a look at the basics, and then from there I go, okay, for instance, I just made one recently for my sister-in-law's bridal shower. I did it like a sparkling rosé cupcake. So I was taking a look at pink champagne cupcakes and normal champagne cupcakes and adapting it to be, a better taste for the rosé that I had picked out, and then make sure that, I'm adding a little bit of food coloring, and if I want it to be more moist, I want to do this versus this. And so it's a lot of just sitting and like analyzing and looking through and creating a recipe and then trying it. And then like any good science experiment, you're testing your hypothesis. And if something doesn't work, you've got to figure out why and try it again.
That's so cool. When you said during this in college, I got really into theme parties in college and like right after. And the best thing about being that age is like, if you home make anything, it's like the best thing that's ever happened to anyone. Like I don't want to say the bar is so low, but people are so deprived of like just the homemade goodness. Yeah. So like if you're at that age range and you want to try this out, I think it's the best time in life to do
Absolutely.
it.
And
Young adult.
If you are in college and you're stuck in a dorm and you really want like a homemade baked good, you can make cake in your microwave.
Oh,
it is
totally.
Something that I taught I was a resident advisor, so I taught my residents that for like one of our activities. And
that's awesome.
I mean, now there's like mug cake recipes, which is really easy, but you can, I don't remember what I put it in before, but I definitely, like, you can just buy like a box of cake mix, Funfetti's my favorite, and a can of Coke or Diet Coke. You mix it together, and then you just microwave it. It's not going to be as amazing as like going to a bakery,
but if you just want something,
it's going to
like
satisfy the need for like hot, like homemade box cake mix,
which is what you want. I mean, every day,
all the time,
but especially when you're in college. That's so awesome. So on top of doing all this as a blog and like for fun, you have an official cookbook
Yeah.
which is so cool.
Yeah. So I have the Minecrafters Cookbook, which is a cookbook targeted towards kids and their families, which is really, really exciting.
Awesome.
Because I remember some of the cookbooks I had as a kid and thinking that there are kids out there that like this is one of their first cookbooks and they're going to learn how to cook based off of this. I'm literally like tearing up thinking about it. Like
totally.
it makes me so happy that I might get to somehow influence, kids getting excited about cooking.
That's cool too, because we were talking already about how cooking isn't like just for girls, and I feel like Minecraft is like the perfect any gender kid getting into cooking.
And it just became the most popular game of all time. It just passed Tetris like a couple weeks ago. So I'm even more excited that I made the cookbook.
Yeah. It's like the official one too.
Yeah.
Like
it's not official, but we have permission is what I've been told.
Great. Cool. Perfect.
Well, I was like, I don't want to get in trouble.
Yes.
My attorney. But yeah, so that all came about because of my blog. So I've been creating these recipes for years and years. And the book packager for this book, they approached me and they were like, we have this idea for this book. We need to find the right person to make it. And we think that's you based off of the writing on your blog. And it felt like such an out of the blue lucky thing to happen. But I have to remind myself that I did put in at that time 7 or 8 years of work to make this happen by doing my blog. It wasn't directly for that specific outcome, but it has always been a dream to have a cookbook.
I think that makes so much sense too. Like when you as a person are like, here are all my skills and I'm putting them out there for basically a decade, then someone who's looking for someone who's like good at themed, like nerdy, cooking, like all of those things are just like, oh, you're literally the perfect person for that.
And I've always really focused on making my recipes and my writing extremely approachable. I want it to make sense to, kids and adults. I, try to keep everything, PG, very low PG-13. Like I want to make sure that anyone will be comfortable and feel welcome on my blog. And the recipes for my blog, I also make sure they aren't too deep into any fandom that I want it to be something where, if someone's, husband or wife or kid is obsessed with Star Wars and they know nothing about it, they can go and they can be like, okay, well, we're going to throw a Star Wars party. I need these things. I don't know anything about it.
Right.
And they can find my Cantina party post and say, I understand this. This makes sense. They will like this. And so that's always kind of what I've been going for. And that's kind of how the Minecrafters Cookbook is as well. It's all of the food that is in Minecraft. So we have things like the cake and the farmer's bread, and we have pork chops and anything that you can make in Minecraft. But then we also have some funsy stuff based off of the Minecraft properties. So we have Creeper Krispies and
so cool.
I think we have we have a bunch of potion drinks and so that's a lot of fun. It was so much fun doing the research and putting it all together. But if you don't know much about Minecraft, you can still read it. All the recipes are very easy to understand, basic recipes. I also really try hard for my blog and for my books to make sure that everything I use is stuff that can be found in a normal grocery store.
Oh my gosh, that is the biggest. There's nothing more disappointing because I've thrown a lot of theme parties when you find a recipe and you're like, this is so cool, and then you look through the ingredients or the instructions and you're like, what?
Yeah,
this is the
I've
least
seen
accessible
so many when it's
ever.
okay, you need this special kind of black cocoa powder. You need the shimmer dust, and these are things that I use when I'm doing fancy stuff, but I'm not going to put in a normal recipe. Or if people are you can make this really cool, fandom inspired thing, but you need a specific mold or cutter to use it. I try to avoid that when I can because I get so disappointed when I'm like, well, where am I going to find that?
Yeah. If someone else hasn't invested their entire life in cooking accessories for nerdy things,
exactly. Which harder. I was like, I have a few drawers full.
As you should.
Yeah,
but that's cool. And then I'm sure it's just easy. It's easy to add those extra components if you want.
Exactly.
As long as you have the base that is.
Yeah. So I try to add those
so cool.
optional ways to kind of amp it up or level it up. I try to keep it approachable and friendly. I work hard. The book was so much fun. It was doing 60 blog posts in the course of a month or two. So it was a lot of work. But for me, the writing and the testing recipes, that comes easy. But it's the taking pictures that is kind of my holdup. Just because as hard as I try, I'm just not as good. The lighting is never as good as I want it to be.
There are things about that too that I've learned from doing what I do that sometimes if your kitchen doesn't have windows in the right places, that's the problem.
And I live in Seattle, and it is not very sunny.
That's literally, or like, even I remember I think it was more about like book photos, but I was like, why does everyone's like flat lays look so great? I was like, oh, their tables are lighter than mine. Like, that's literally the difference. Like, the wood in my table was too dark to look the way I wanted the photos to look. So, like, I get that.
And there are all kinds of, things you can invest in and lessons and cool flat lay boards you can buy and everything. So, as I learn more, I, get a little bit better. But it's still not to the level I want. So writing the book was fantastic because I had an amazing food stylist and photographer who was also one of the book packagers. And the photos that he did are just gorgeous. Like, I got so excited when I saw them, and we had an illustrator that created things. So I really got to focus on the writing and let everyone else take like the creative, the graphic, the photo stuff, which I'm not as good at. And I'm really excited with what I came up with.
And you don't have to be good at everything. So
exactly.
That's great.
So it's great to know your strengths and your weaknesses. And I was really excited that I was able to work on a project with people who were much stronger in the things that I was not strong with. And from that, I was able to get an agent, and I'm currently signing a contract for another book deal, which I can't talk about yet, but I'm very, very excited about.
But like, this is a thing that's happening that you're
doing.
It
is a thing that's happening, and it will not be the only book. There are other pitches that are out there as well. Like, I'm really excited. I'm just gonna keep making cool geeky cookbooks.
Yeah. Are you thinking are you leaning more towards like putting your energy into books, or are you still, I don't know, are you still maintaining the blog, or just sort of as like if you have time?
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of work.
Yeah. I still have the blog. I definitely focus on the books when I have it. Cool. I'm someone who works really well when I have a deadline and not as well when I don't. So my hope as I start up the writing of this other book, like once the contract is signed, I'll start writing it, is that I'll be streaming at least every other week, most likely weekly, where I'll actually be testing the recipes that I'm making, so people can, it's essentially like having friends over in your kitchen while you're cooking. So people can come and hang out with me and talk while they see me, kind of test recipes and vaguely talk about the premise, and they can try to guess what the themes are for the books that I'm working on. And while I do that, I'm going to be doing a few additional fandom-inspired things for my blog. So then hopefully that will get me back in the swing of things. I recently went back to a full-time job a couple years ago, and so that's been keeping me busy with that. So
yeah, it's not like you have unlimited time to just bake all day. Every day.
So
forever.
The Geeky Hostess has become more of a side thing in the last few years, but it's been around for so long that the SEO is really good. I still get to do some really fun things with it.
And recipes don't expire. Like
exactly.
If,
there are some that people still search for.
I still look at it all the time because, if I made a good cupcake 5 years ago, I can make it again.
Still gonna be good,
it's gonna be good again.
Yeah, so I'll still be updating here and there. I have one post that I've been meaning to post for a long time and have not, so that will be going up soon.
I get it though. I mean, getting all of those pieces together, which it's cool to point out about the book. Like, you can focus on just the one thing, but when you run a blog yourself, it's like you have to do all the writing, all the creative, all the actual making, and then all the photos, then all the social
posting. And
it's a lot
but
more.
It's so much fun, and I mean, I love the subject matter. I love the community. That's a lot of fun.
Awesome. So where can people follow you to see all the cool things you're doing?
Yeah, so the blog is The Geeky Hostess, geekyhostess.com. And then I do have some social channels for that, which is just Geeky Hostess. And then my personal ones are Geeky Tara, since I am the creator of The Geeky Hostess. The streams, when I start doing that up again, will be through Geeky Tara as well. So
cool.
The last time I streamed, I used, and I'm forgetting the name of the program, but I used a program that let me stream to Mixer, Twitch, and YouTube at the same time.
Whoa.
So you can find me on any of those with the name Geeky Tara. I believe YouTube is Geeky Hostess, but Mixer and Twitch are both Geeky Tara. And if one of the audiences end up taking off a little bit more, then I'll end up switching there, but I'll make sure that I let people know. I always post in my social channels before I go live as well.
So did you say you're like making the recipe and testing it out live?
Yeah. So what I do live is it's just like set up in my kitchen.
Yeah.
I at that point will have had a few recipes that I've written down and I'm ready to try. And then it's essentially like going through a cooking class. Like, you'll see me just going through it, and I'll talk about what I'm doing and why I'm making the choices I'm making. But then there is some downtime where I just kind of chat with people and we talk about food. We talk about what you guys are up to. We talk about geeky stuff. It's a lot of fun.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to check it out.
And then, of course, the Minecrafter's Cookbook is my first cookbook. If you have a kid that loves Minecraft or a grown-up who loves Minecraft in your life.
I think it is going to be hard to have a person who like there's no one
doesn't
in their
know
life
anyone
that's obsessed with Minecraft.
Yeah, and I've heard from a lot of parents who have, you know, given it to their kids that the kids get really excited. They've like flagged all the recipes they make. One person said they've been making like a recipe a week for the last 6 weeks.
Oh my
like,
gosh.
yeah, the kids are getting really excited about it. And there are recipes in there that I personally use all the time.
That's cool.
The bread recipe is like, it was one of my first times really sitting down and making bread, and I didn't realize how easy it is. As long as you have the time and you think ahead to let it rise overnight, like it's cheap, it's easy, you can customize it however you want. So I love the bread recipe. The mac and cheese recipe is my favorite type of mac and cheese. And I really like the baked mac and cheese. That's like not super runny, has breadcrumbs on it. So that's what this one is. So those are some of my favorites.
And that's like a perfect birthday gift or holiday gift.
Yes. And you can find it most bookstores, Amazon, all that stuff. And then if you're interested in cupcake liners or recipe cards or anything else, the Geeky Hostess store is still up. I have it over on Etsy.
Cool.
So there's a link from geekyhostess.com that'll take you there.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So for everyone who, like me, is obsessed with nerdy themed parties and food and cocktails and everything, I love your blog and everything you do. It's been the best.
I love everything you do.
Oh, thanks for chatting with me.
Anytime.
Yeah, everyone go follow Tara. The things she does are the best. And thanks so much for listening. Have a great week, you guys, and stay nerdy.